We are live. Back in not the studio. But we are live. Back at home. Got a little echo, but back in home, the windows are open. Got power back in the house, so we are back at the hizzy for today. So hopefully it won't last this long, that we're still in not the studio. We're back home. As you can see, the addition, got the window here, the back of our new addition. So hopefully soon we will be inside the studio instead of outside of the studio. Regardless, we are live. We're going to continue to do the shows as best that we can. We might have to alter some times because of it getting dark outside. Can't do it from inside of the house. We'll do this as best as we can moving forward. I hope this is just temporary, but we'll go that route. Lamar Williams says, Big Preza in the building. What's going on, my friend? Thomas Bankston. Oh, tag somebody. Thank you. Gino says, go Tigers, but what in the pure hell is going on in BR? We will talk about that. We will talk about McNeese. We'll talk about a lot of things that happened this past weekend with the Tigers. And we'll talk about some John Emery. Guys, look, as my good friend Stephen Miller would say, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. Don't feed me a load of bullshit. So we'll talk about the John Emery stuff moving forward. Speak of the devil, he says, let's crank it up. Maction in the house this week with Central Michigan. That is true. Lamar says two things you can count on in Louisiana is the weather, being bipolar, and AYS giving you real analysis. Hopefully we do that. And hopefully we're able to do that inside the studio soon. Everyone joining us, do us a favor by hitting the like to share. It really helps us out as we are still, displaced, but not back in our normal ways. So do me a favor, if you're on Facebook, share to some groups, share to your personal pages. If you are on YouTube, do us a favor by subscribing and hit the notification bell. If you're on Twitter, do us a favor by hitting the retweet and follow as well. But before we get started, guys, let's do this. Let's get to a couple of our good sponsors. None better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and betonline.ag. Guys, I've been telling you for so long about our good friends over at GM. Guys, with the hurricane, anything that you need done to your vehicle, RV, camper, they do it all. 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. Go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana, for all of your automotive needs. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, I went 4-1 this week. If you placed the AYS bets, you went 4-1 this week, and none better than our good friends over at BetOnline. We had the 54.5 over at Tennessee. The only game that we lost was Texas getting routed. Welcome to the SEC. Texas, horns down, but get over to BetOnline. You can use your mobile device. It's very easy to sign up. Do the 50% welcome bonus and do AYS podcast, Believe podcast when you sign up. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. So let's get to a couple of these comments and let's get rolling. So let's talk very quickly about this. LSU McNeese State game. I'm a little disappointed with the outcome of this game. So let's start offensively. Look, the O-line's just got to get better. I've defended them. I've seen better things from them in the past. At practice, I've just seen better days from this offensive line. But right now, they're playing like pure trash. They can't get push up front. And when they do get push up front, it's normally because they're going up tempo. Look at the stats. LSU is 5-5 on their possessions. When they go up tempo, they score. Their yards per carry right now, per some stats that are getting out there, when LSU goes tempo, their average yards per carry is hovering around 6 yards. So I think it's more of a scheme thing, too, as much as it is that these guys just can't get pushed on the offensive line. I thought the defense played good, but they're playing the FCS team that's not really that good. Their O-line couldn't block you. They couldn't stop you. They couldn't do anything. So quite honestly, while I'm impressed how LSU's defense came back and took over the game, I am not impressed by, like you're going to have to show me again this week. You're going to have to show me again the following week. There's just going to be so many different times that LSU's going to have to show me what they're doing. I'm tired of hearing about the offensive woes. I don't mean this in the wrong way, but Max Johnson's 5 for 5 on passes when he rolls outside the pocket, 3 of those completions being touchdowns. So at what point do you see something that's working and you don't go back to it? So, look, I wasn't impressed by anything that LSU did offensively. I wasn't impressed really, impressed, like you're going to have to show me something. So defensively, I wasn't really impressed either. John says, go Tigers, screw the BS. Logan says, more to the John Emery story. No way LSU lets him enroll in the wrong class. Well, here's what I'm going to say. You got a lot of big-time reporters in this market that's probably telling you the truth when this enrollment thing, regardless, here's my thought process on this. Regardless of if you enrolled him in the wrong class, or regardless if he didn't make credit hours, or you missed his credit hours, this falls not, and they're not blaming John Emery, then it falls on LSU compliance. It falls on these advisors that you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to yearly, that they don't get this shit fixed. So, LSU per Mike Scarborough is fine, or Emery, let me back up. John Emery and his camp is taking legal action against the NCAA. A lot of you commented on this to me. Well, what about Eric Gilbert? Well, it must be something more if they're going to allow Eric Gilbert that didn't pass a class also last semester to be academically eligible than just, let's call it what it is. Then what's the issue with John Emery? You're letting guys transfer all over the place. So now what? I don't really buy this John Emery story. I just think it's, I just don't believe it. Chili Vic says, we are live, is leaving a lot to be desired, really a lot. I agree with Vic here. How is Max, to me, it feels as if that Max just doesn't feel comfortable in the play calls that are around him. It feels to me that Max is just not comfortable in anything that he's doing. I think that that's a mixture of play calling. I think that that's a mixture of maybe not translating or telling Max what you want to do on a specific play. But Jake and really DJ Mangus is something not to be very desired about. They came out with some different runs. They pulled pulled a guard and tackle on that Amari Goodwin run. They went under center. They pitched it out to him, and the kid's got a lot of speed. And look, if you're going to run the football and you're going to get and you're going to get good yardage, I'm not going to trash you on that. But it felt scripted. The first 15 plays they came out and they ran some good or some different things. But after that, it was back to zone left, zone right, zone up the middle. It's at some point there comes a time where you're going to bullshit me enough where I'm going to start getting pissed off, and I feel like a lot of LSU fans are starting to get pissed off. At least if you're like me, it's like Orgeron says something that they're going to fix and they're going to do, and they never do it. Here's another thing. I don't know if you guys saw on the sidelines, but on the first series, Ed Orgeron was getting really pissed off that LSU wasn't running up tempo. Well, brother, that's on you. You got to emphasize that to Jake Peets. I don't like the fact that this whole check with me, especially when you're averaging close to 6 yards per carry when you're running up tempo. Look, it helps your offensive line. Obviously, it's helping your offensive line with these run plays. You run up tempo. Corey Connor busts a 21-yard run for a touchdown. At what point do you just say, well, hey, you know what? Up tempo is working. Let's make the adjustment. But they're not doing that. I did like this scheme though from Durante Jones. He made things more simple. He gave McNeese different looks that they didn't see against McNeese. So I liked it all around. Let's see here. Let's get to a couple more of these comments. Tiger fan says, sounds like Les is calling play action or plays again, excuse me. Ryan Thibodeau says, I smell bullshit. Gino says, the story is crap. Yeah, the story's crap. And then, please don't take this the wrong way to anybody. And I don't mean it in any kind of a wrong way. There's people talking about yesterday that John Emery was out for the year. Ed Orgeron comes out and says John Emery's out for the year, but we don't really know that yet. So I don't even fully believe that the NCAA has given them an outright verdict on John Emery. What do you mean to tell me that this kid can't do something to get back eligible? So you mean to tell me, and I'm not getting political, but you mean to tell me during COVID, during Hurricane Ida, if this guy's missing something that he can't do it, that's bullshit. Because I know guys at Southeastern of all the places that were academically ineligible for 4 or 5 weeks, and they would take a course and then they would come back eligible. They take a midterm course and they're back halfway through the season. So if you're going to lie to me, you better come up with a better lie, right? Like you better come up with a better lie than, oh, he's ineligible. Bullshit, he's not ineligible if you can figure something out. I mean, he's ineligible right now, but it all smells like horse shit. It all smells like I'm being lied to. And I'm tired. Look, I have tried my best to be patient. I've tried my best to be the guy that just sits here and says, hey, look, I'm going to talk about on the field. But I'm so tired about talking about stuff off the field. That's getting me more pissed off than anything. Thomas Banks says, we are still having coverage problems, but it's not that bad. Yeah, you have one blown coverage. You gave up one long run. What's crazy is that McNeese had more explosive plays than LSU did. So dumb. It's unreal to me at this point. Guys, McNeese is going to have a horrible season. Let's call it what it is. You played a team that wasn't really that good. So on a Tell the Truth Monday, I hope that people are really telling the truth up there in that building. I don't feel that they are. I don't think that they are. It was so crazy to me. I was tweeting this during the game. You're trying to convince me about Mike Jones, and all week Ed said, well, we got to get him in the game. You put him in the game late. He comes in and has 3 tackles on his first drive. He does great in coverage. So I don't know. And I should reword. Emery is not suing LSU. He's suing. I don't even call it suing. He's taking legal action on the NCAA. So let me re-emphasize that. As Alex says, if Emery's family attorney can't make quick fixes, I have a feeling Emery is going to be in the portal. Well, Alex, and I'll leave this comment up, where are you going to go? Like, where are you going to go? If you're academically ineligible at LSU, how are you not going to be academically eligible somewhere else? And why it starts to why I start to call bullshit on this is, well, then explain to me then Eric Gilbert. Like, explain that one to me. So if you want to put it on the, we can blame the NCAA all we want to, and they're an easy scapegoat. But you got to be on top of this. You got to make sure that the kid's passing his classes. So it's a PR, the PR nightmare is full force right now. Daniel Glenn says, anyone think USC pulls the trigger on Helton to get ahead of LSU if we make a change? Daniel, it's funny. I kind of started thinking the same thing. It feels that way. But look, Clay Helton has had his chances. They've been very patient with him. He can't do what he's doing. Look, I know that there's already some people talking about Steve Sarkisian, Urban Meyer, which I don't know if USC would pay. And why would Sarkisian even go back? I mean, but there's a lot of great coaches out there. And look, you've run through Orgeron, you've run through Sarkisian, you've run through Kiffin. I mean, Kiffin, Orgeron. Let's see who else have they. I mean, Urban Meyer would be the only plausible individual. Hugh Freeze is another guy. So maybe, but I think that Daniel, this is more of Clay Helton sucks, and their team sucks. Everyone, do us a favor by hitting the like and share button. It really helps us out if you're on YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really helps us out. We're looking to hopefully. So we do have some good news at least. Spectrum has told us or told me that it could be 5 days. So maybe by the end of the week, so we could have maybe a Saturday post-game show or pregame show. That'd be very awesome if we're able to do that. Guys, you're going to have to bear with me. We might only be able to go 2 or 3 times this week. And for that, I'm sorry, but we'll do as many as we can. Amanda says, Jacob Hester says it's all false. Look, and I'm not, I don't mean this in a wrong way to Hester. And I think that Hester's getting right information from what he's given, but I'm starting to call BS on it. Now, I think Hester's information's accurate, meaning I think that Hester was given from somebody inside that building. Actually, I know that he was. I know who gave it to him, and I know what he was given because we're all being given it by LSU. All the same information, but I don't know how much I believe it. And here's the truth: LSU doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from a PR standpoint because of everything that's going on. Do I believe Hester? Yes, I retweeted it. I liked it. I pushed it out on AYS. So I believe what Hester's being given because we're all being given it. What I don't trust is LSU's, compliance or department. I mean, look, your starting left tackle is starting at Kentucky. Guys, Dare Rosenthal starting at Kentucky because of the weed suspension. So I don't want to, that whole, the good thing is if LSU does get away from Orgeron, I hope that they fire everybody. And I don't mean that in the wrong way, but you're going to have to start getting people away from compliance. I mean, this is some bullshit at this point. Adam Burrows says, why the pitcher's shaking so much? You scared of something, little boy? Good friend. He's trying to make a joke. I'm using a selfie stick. I'm trying my hardest not to move the camera as much as I can. And for that, I'm sorry. Blake says, hashtag Ask Blake, I was at the game and people were leaving after the second, third quarter, or LSU drive, excuse me, due to the offensive play calling, and they wasn't impressed. Can you blame them? No, I don't blame them for anything. I mean, what am I going to blame them for? No, I don't blame them for anything. Thomas Bankson says, I agree, but the tackling did look better, and the D-line was firing off. Look, you're going to have to do it this week, and you guys are going to hate for me saying this, but this game isn't a walk in the park. This game against Central Michigan isn't a cupcake. Look, Missouri was only able to beat Central Michigan by 10. Now, you can take that one of two ways. Well, LSU does have more talent than Missouri. I don't think that that's an argument. But are you really better than Missouri right now? Because last year you did go up to Como and you got beat. So, no, I don't really believe that you're better than them. You're going to have to show me that you're better than them. And I don't think that that's a wrong thing to say, but this team's not playing that good right now. And Orgeron went out and made coordinator hires that, quite honestly, he probably should not have made. I like Jake Peets as a human being. I like DJ Mangus. I like Durante Jones. But, guys, this is LSU. This isn't UAB. This isn't San Jose State. This isn't San Diego State. This isn't Rudy Poo University. This is LSU. You've won 3 national titles in the last 20 or 17 years, or 17 years, and you want to make coordinator hires of guys that have never called plays before. So, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Let's see. Jacoby and Guillory had a good game, I thought. I'm going to leave this comment here for now. Aaron brings up a good point, says Mason Smith and Jaquelin Roy are our best D linemen for sure. It was actually impressed with Big Tank Guillory. Yeah, you're going to have to start Jaquelin Roy and Mason Smith. Why those guys aren't starting, I don't know. But so what? He's a freshman. So what? Jaquelin Roy is technically a freshman. I know he's got a year under his belt. So what? Mason Smith's a freshman. So what? Play them. Jaquelin Roy and Mason Smith are close to leading your team in sacks right now. So, and I think Mason Smith does lead your team in sacks. Mark says some O-linemen have been here for 6 years. You would think they would improve in college. Well, they haven't really improved. Lamar says, I'm extremely disappointed in this O-line. I am too. And look, you're going to have to continue to run up tempo. There's things you're going to have to continue to run. Dominic says it's a Rudy Poo story for sure. I agree. Steven says Max definitely doesn't look comfortable with the check with me BS offense. No, he doesn't. He looks more comfortable with the up tempo. Let's make two reads, get the ball out, and let's get moving. That's where he feels most comfortable. He had 2 touchdowns this past weekend. He rolled out to his right, which is not it's not the easiest thing for him to do. He had 2 touchdowns to Keyshawn Boutte on both of those rollouts. Same exact play, same exact spot in the end zone. And look, Trey Palmer. We're having to convert 4th downs against McNeese. If you're having to go for it on 4th down against McNeese, God forbid, what are you going to have to do this week? And God forbid, what are you going to have to do in the rest of the SEC? And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, and you guys know that I try to be as positive and call it like it is, but man. Well, and here's another thing to the check with me's. If you check with me and then you get a different formation, the defense eventually picks up on what you're doing too. Run up tempo, let's go. The check with me's aren't, the defense gets to go with check with me's. You're able to get aligned. You're able to get ready to go. These guys are able to think. When you run up tempo, you're in a blink of an eye. Bam, bam, boom, boom. You're in and out of there. So, no. I don't agree with this check with me bullshit. I know a lot of people are going to talk about John Emery. John Emery. Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not ready to go there yet. Mark says, doesn't get to hire any more coordinators. This is it. This is it, brother. Yeah, I think that the only one that I'd give him a pass on is Matt Canada. Joe Oliva just forced Matt Canada on Ed Orgeron, and Ed Orgeron had to do it to get the job at LSU. So I'm not going to necessarily blame, Ed on that one, but it's still his hire at the end of the day. So no, I agree with you there. It's not a good look, to say the least. Mark says lost and not found is LSU's offense. Let's see. Danielle says sick of the coach speak and babying these kids, saying they were improved but still need to improve. Please pull a Saban and hold these players accountable. Yeah, Saban holds his players accountable all the time and uses the media to do it. Calls it rat poison. He doesn't pull punches. Ryan Thibodeau says Chippewas are coming down to win. Yeah, they're coming down to win. And look, you can make fun of me all you want, but this game isn't a cakewalk. I was shocked at the 20-point spread coming out of Vegas. There's a lot of things to be shocked by. I want to give a quick shout out very quickly to our good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. Guys have been doing refinances, saving money on people's mortgages, and doing cash out refis since 1999. Get in touch with them today at 225-614-1234. It's 225-614-1234. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. And our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com, 985-386-7600, 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Yeah, these live reads, man, it's not easy. Not when you're displaced. Let's see. Getting to a couple more of these comments. Fire in your Rudy Poos of the week. Who are your Rudy Poos of the week in sports? And we'll get to them. But Daniel says Texas and USC to be equal level jobs. No way Sark goes back to USC. I agree with that. Even without considering his prior history with them, might be a play for Urban. Question is, with Ed's buyout, can we afford Urban? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know, this is going to be the ultimate test for Scott Woodward. And the truth is, he's going to have to bail his own self out here. Meaning, he's the one that gave Orgeron the contract extension after he won. He was the one that made him one of the higher paid coaches in the country, and rightfully so. I mean, Orgeron just came off one of the best season of all time. So you got to extend Orgeron and you got to pay him like that. But you're going to have to find the money and you're going to have to go get one of the best coaches. The good thing about Woodward is he normally goes and finds really good hires outside of his basketball hire at A&M. Blake says, throw Joe Brady a blank check. Guys, I'm going to give you a probably not good or honest opinion here, or not, what's the word I'm looking for? An opinion that probably guys and people don't want to hear right now. Guys, Joe Brady's never been a head coach. Now, he's never been in really good at recruiting. The reason he left you is because he didn't want to recruit. So I know everybody is happy-go-lucky for Joe Brady, but let's be honest. Joe Brady would be a very suspect head coaching hire. It's not to say he won't do good. It's not to say he wouldn't do good in the NFL or college. But, guys, I mean, if you have an individual like Urban Meyer out there, Dabo Swinney, look, let Dabo tell you no. I'm not saying Dabo would come or anything like that, but you just got to get these guys to tell you no before you go after Joe Brady. Let's see here. Matthew Daigle says, do you think Mike Jones made a big impact Saturday? I mean, impact. I mean, he wasn't a factor in the game, meaning his tackles weren't game-changing. However, I do think he was impactful when he came in. All 3 and outs when he was in. I think he had, 4 or 5 tackles, had a huge pass breakup, covered a wide receiver, covered a tight end, covered a running back, and looked great doing it. So he is your best cover line. I thought Jamal Clark played a lot better. But I don't know what they're missing. I don't know what they're missing. Olsen says, hashtag ask Blake, after watching LSU struggle again with the check with me's, do you feel like Pete should be down on the sidelines getting plays in instead of being upstairs in the press box? It's a good point. I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, what will it hurt? Yeah, I mean, it certainly can't hurt. Do it. See what happens. Yeah, certainly can't hurt. Certainly can't hurt at all. Brandon Reed says that would be interesting if Scott Woodward and LSU was able to get Billy Napier or some other big name coaches. There's parts of me, and let me emphasize this too. There's parts of me that's like, I don't know. I mean, Ed Orgeron could flip the script. I mean, I don't want to we're talking about coaching hires when a coach isn't even fired yet. So I'll allow it some, but I'm not going to continue to talk about it. Zay DeGreat 2K says Garrett's incompletions, drop passes, was the most exciting part of the game. Well, historically, the backup quarterback is the most exciting individual on your roster. He's the most popular guy on your roster. I thought he definitely brought a spark. That's for sure. And look, here's the difference. He ad-libbed a lot. He did, there were times that he probably should have run to get the first down. He had a couple shots from Brian Thomas. He had a drop from Jeray Jenkins that would have been a touchdown. He overshot Smith. But, I mean, look, if you have an opportunity to get him in the game, you got to get him in the game. People talking about Kelly Orgeron. Brandon Reese asked about Matt Campbell. Guys, Matt Campbell at some point is going to have to win a big game. I think he's a good coach. But Matt Campbell getting beaten by Iowa this week, and not just beaten, but beaten down. Nah, I'm not. Guys, fire in your Rudy Poos of the week, and let's go there. Let's talk some more of this. The Saints. I mean LSU. I want to come out and just say, very quickly about the Saints. Very impressed by Jameis Winston. Very impressed by the play calling of Sean Payton. I've been more critical about Sean Payton than probably anybody. I think pettiness gets you beat. I thought that they looked good yesterday, and I thought Drew Brees put it best. The reason this offense looks so good and this defense looks so good is because you have a guy that can force the ball downfield. I thought that this defense might be the best in the NFL, and that's not an overstatement. So you could have a scenario where the Saints had the best defense in all of the NFL, and that's exciting. I was really excited for Jameis. I thought that they just put the smack down. And here's another thing. Don't tell me that going and staying somewhere else affects teams so much, because it didn't affect Tulane against Oklahoma, talking about LSU and UCLA. It certainly hasn't affected the Saints going to Dallas, then going to Jacksonville, now back to Dallas, and these guys not being home. And I know that they're professionals, but, everybody, these guys have families that they haven't seen. They're displaced. I mean, guys, look, it's taken everything that I have and sitting here with a hot spot to go live for my show. So I understand what it takes to go through what they're going through, but I thought that the Saints looked fantastic. And there's really, you really can't play a much better game. They ran the football really well. I thought Matt Trent asked Ed Orgeron an interesting question about the O-line and helping this team out, but your O-line's not going to get better much anytime soon. Danielle says Rudy Poo of the week. Tied between LSU fans for believing they would fix the problems with the O-line and all the Saints fans that doubted Jameis Winston. Well, not just Saints fans, too. I mean, really, everybody that doubted Jameis. Diedrich says, I love the hat. Yeah, I love it, too. We are undefeated when Big Daddy wears his hat in all sports, so I'm going to continue to wear it. Stephen Miller says, Joe Brady is an NFL guy. Fans, people need to let that shit go. He used LSU to get up into the NFL. He ain't wanting no part of college football. Yeah, I mean, look, he's told multiple people he doesn't want to come back to college. He had opportunities to take head coaching jobs, lower tier head coaching jobs. He didn't, and he wants to be in the NFL. All right, we'll go about another 10 minutes, and then we'll get on out of here. Zay says Max isn't built for a suspect. Yeah, but your O-line was the same last year. I mean, why is play calling changing so much? You're running no RPOs, and you're talking about putting the R back in RPO. Well, shit. I mean, run Max, for crying out loud. Run a zone read. See what happens. See the reaction you get from the defense, for crying out loud. I mean, you can't play scared, and LSU's just playing very scared right now. It feels like the offense is playing with one hand tied behind their back. Daniel Glenn says we need to stop using Joe Brady's name in Baton Rouge. I agree. Guys, at some point, we got to start talking about 2019, myself included. Myself included. Tiger Van 337 says, what can we expect the political ramifications? I'm not getting into that. Ryan Thibodeau says Rudy Poo of the week, LSU compliance, and check with Mees. I'm going to say the check with Mees is going to probably be my Rudy Poo of the week too. Yeah, the check with Mees are definitely my Rudy Poo of the week. I'm probably going to give myself the Rudy Poo of the week too, because I had a lot of faith in this team that they could rebound. And they didn't, so that's on me. So I was wrong there. I thought that they would come back and rebound, which they technically did, but I thought we'd see a better showing from playing an FCS team that really wasn't that good. Guys, you have D2 school in Northwest Florida, Northwest Florida playing McNeese, and they're scoring more points on that defense than you are. Lamar Williams says Rudy Poo of the week to every one that said Chase couldn't catch. You know what? That's a good one too. That's a good one too. I like that one. And the guy having 5 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. Like, come on, man. Come on. Weak. Logan says that's easy. Ed O is the Rudy Poo of the week. Okay. Stephen Miller says Rudy Poo of the week goes to the University of Texas. I like this one. The University of Texas thinking that they're back and ready for the SEC. Boy, Arkansas put the smack it down on that candy ass, didn't they? Put the smack it down on that candy ass. Texas, Texas fans in my DMs all summer, oh, we're going to run the SEC. Bitch, you can't run a marathon, much less run the SEC. You can't beat Arkansas, which Arkansas looked fantastic if we're calling a spade. That's not going to be a cakewalk game either for LSU. You can't even, talking about running and being the alpha dogs, you're a beta. You're the lowest dog on the totem pole, you Rudy Poo. Texas, you're not back. You're not good. Sorry to tell you, but you're not freaking good. You come to the SEC and get your asses handed to you. Texas A&M fans, and look, you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but the Pac-12 is putting on a clinic right now. A&M saying, "Oh, we're so good. We only scored 7 points against Colorado." You're not that good offensively. Jimbo's not that good offensively. His offensive playbook is outdated. Mario Cristobal, the Italiana, give me the spicy meatball. Oregon going to Ohio State and beating the dog shit out of, Oregon going out there beating the dog shit out of Ohio State. That's another hot name too. But Texas, you can't even run a marathon, much less run the SEC. You can't run the Big 12. You're not back. You're not good. You don't have the athletes. You don't have the, Sark's a great coach, but it takes more than a head coach to win to get a program back on point. Doucette says, hashtag Ask Blake, how about that throw from Burrow to Chase yesterday? Brings back a lot of memories. Yeah, it brings back the national championship game. That's for damn sure. All right, let's get a couple more, and then we're going to get on out of here. And Doucette also asked, how about them Saints? Jameis showed up and showed out that he did. Kamen says A&M always been overrated. Yeah, how they're the number 5 team in the country. Look, that defense is good. But, guys, you're playing Colorado. You can't score. I get that their backup quarterback went down, but it's Colorado. All right, we're back. My phone is about to die, so let's do 2 more. Brand says Rudy Poo of the week. Most of the media folks that picked Cheeseheads to beat the Saints. I like that one. And last one, and we got to get out of here, is Daniel Glenn, Arkansas, the unexpected problem. Their quarterback is the truth. Didn't know Bryles and Odom were that going to be that strong. Yeah, they're really, really good. Yep, they're really, really good. So sorry about that at the end, but we're back. Guys, we'll call it a night. We're trying to get back, trying to find internet, trying to get back to the normal show. We'll be back in studio soon. We'll see you guys again shortly. Y'all have a good night.